Yes, we screwed up. We used the wrong opening logo. But welcome to Monday Night America, and I hope I'm transmitting. My signal does not look very strong right now. So I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Roger Noriega. It's Monday Night America. Today is June 23rd, 2025. This is episode 23 of our 17th season. We are one of two of the longest running programs on the internet since 2008. No one else has been on longer on a regularly scheduled program. We've been doing it for 17 years now. So thank you for joining us, and we're going to get right to it. Head right down there. You can see everything that's going on the network, and that's at ndbmedia.net. Find us on Facebook, find us on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn as well. So thank you for joining me once again, Roger Noriega. Today is June 23rd. Have a lot of stuff to go over. Oh, bad news, I will not be on next week. So I've already removed it from the calendar, but I will be back on July 7th. So it has nothing to do with the holiday. It's just I have a prior commitment. And I am officially retired from my job of 33 years, and I'm enjoying it. I am into my second full week of retirement now. And I recommend everyone do it quickly and early. It's the best thing that you can do. I retired 9 years early, so I'm really happy with that. I consider myself most fortunate. Hey Tony, if you want to come on in and join me, you're more than welcome. But let's get down to it. I have a lot of stuff to go over because, like I said, I wasn't on last week, and I won't be on next week again. Like I say, it wasn't all bad. A zebra named Ed was finally caught in Rutherford County, Tennessee, after spending a week on the lam. The African equine arrived in the state as a pet at the end of May, but escaped less than a day later. He ran through the residential neighborhoods and darted into and out of highway traffic before disappearing into the woods. Ed was finally sighted by a helicopter and airlifted back to its owners. This is the first zebra to escape in Rutherford County in 43 years, says police spokeswoman Lisa Marcioni. A Maryland man has made it his goal to clear out as many old tires as he can from the wilderness areas, and I'm so happy for him for doing so. Wearing gloves and a fluorescent vest, John Merriman, it says it all of itself, kind of like Mattawoman. That's the street when I was in Maryland. Get it? When I posted the picture of the street name, Mattawoman, I was at one time. Anyway, Merriman, 62, averages nearly 1,000 tires a year, many of them blocking ravines and creeks. Merriman estimates he's removed 15,000 tires since 2008. This year, he's picked up tires in South Carolina, Florida, and Georgia, and he hopes to clean out tires in Alaska later this year. Ooh. He's proof one man can make a heck of a difference. No doubt about that. After Michael Baker's high school graduation in the suburb of Atlanta, he went to work in a local Burger King, still wearing his graduation sash and medals. Sounds like a Roger, but nah. Maria Mendoza, a drive-thru customer, was so struck by the sight that she posted a TikTok video. After it went viral, Mendoza started a GoFundMe for Baker's college education, quickly raising more than $200,000. Baker plans to enroll in technical college in the fall. The kindness that you put out there always has a way of coming back to you. That is cool. That's absolutely awesome. Joseph L. Gray and 30 servicemen died when their B-17 bomber crashed on the Isle of Man in 1945. His dog tags were recovered in 2010 and placed in a local aviation museum. Donald Madar, the grandnephew of another crash victim, visited the museum this April. He saw the tags, remembered a Facebook link with Gray's descendants, and arranged to finally deliver them to Gray's great niece, Bridget Daly, in Pennsylvania. I saw the emotion rush into her, Madar said. It was so important for her family that they took possession of a piece of their history. And I agree. Some of the segments, as I search throughout the week, I find them only in America. This is only in America, folks. The Trump administration has threatened to pull federal education funds from New York unless the state scraps its bans on the use of Native American mascots. On a visit to Massapequa High School, Education Secretary Linda McMahon praised the school's incredible headdress-wearing chief mascot and vowed the Trump administration will not stand idly by state leaders attempt to eliminate the history and culture of Native American tribes. Only in America, a North Carolina high school has agreed to pay $20,000 to a student suspended for using the racially motivated term illegal alien. I had no idea that was racially motivated. Anyone who's not here, only in America. Christian McGee, 17, was given an assignment to write about aliens. Seeking clarification, he asked, like space aliens or illegal aliens without green cards? And was suspended. McGee's mother welcomed the settlement, but wishes that instead of removing her son, the school had used the incident as a teachable moment. And what do I tell you, folks? The minute I'm live, my phone rings. It's no accident. So, hey, it is what it is. Only in America. Oregon State Police have apologized for a recruitment email that asked potential SWAT team members if they're jonesing to fire weapons. Authored by SWAT Sergeant Jamin Van Meter, the email also touts the thrills of tossing diversions, flashbangs, experiencing dramatic and highly intense hostage situations, and firing non-lethal rounds at fleeing suspects. OSP said the email's glamorization of the use of force was contrary to agency values. I kind of figured it was a joke. Apparently it wasn't, and oops, not good. Only in America. The cost of living in California is now so high that people with six-figure salaries qualify for low-income housing. I'm telling you. In Tech Hub Santa Clara, those making $111,700 or less can apply for affordable housing, compared with $109,700 in San Francisco and $72,000 in Sacramento. I love the weather, said Chelsea Carmack, a recent transplant to Sacramento from St. Louis. But as far as finding housing, it's been very challenging. Yeah, I believe that. It was a good day for free assembly. After a federal appeals court ruled that San Diego's ban on yoga classes in city parks and beaches was unconstitutional. I'm not making this up. I personally see this as a triumph of community over a handful of elites, said yoga fan John Nowak, who blamed the now overturned ban on the influence of wealthy beachfront property owners. I suppose I can see that. It was also a good week for sob stories after physicists at Britain's Loughborough University created the world's smallest violin. Even smaller than that. And that's a violin, baby. That's all it is, a violin. The instrument etched from platinum using nanolithography is 13 microns wide. That's unfathomable. I understand, but no way. That's thinner than a human hair. Wow, that's thin. Yes, it's hair, not needlepoint. Even though I don't know why it's needlepoint. I mean, you know what needlepoint is, but little needles pointing. That's what I think of the top. It was a good week for loopholes. Oh, after New Mexico prosecutors dropped charges against a 16-year-old baseball player who admitted to urinating in an opposing team's water jug during a game. Wow. Whoa. While the act is gross and not right, said Chief Deputy DHS, it's not a crime in New Mexico. Wow. I mean, look, when I was on my varsity baseball team as team manager, I had the responsibility of going over to the refectory to go and pick up buckets, which was really cool. I do admit, it was really neat. When opposing teams would come over to visit, think of those big white paint buckets with ice and lemon in it, lemon water, basically. I would pick them up and I would take them, but it was obvious it was water. You could tell it was water. But man, we don't do that. That kid, was he urinating in public? Isn't that illegal? I mean, come on, man. There's so many. Forget. You see, that's not a loophole. That's a jackass that doesn't understand the law. But whatever. It was a good week for Manifest Destiny after U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, speaking to Fox News about the military's ability to handle simultaneous deployments, claimed to have, quote, talked to an astronaut yesterday who's on the moon, who's a soldier. On the moon! As of press time, neither NASA nor the Pentagon has confirmed an active U.S. military presence on the moon. But hey, it's a good week for Manifest Destiny. It was also a good week for special interests after the Ghana Drunkards Association gave the West African nation's government 3 weeks, not 1, not 2, but 3 weeks, to do something about the soaring price of alcohol. Gosh, Blake, darn it, you better do something there, man. Warning that a failure to act would result in mass protests by the group's claimed 16.6 million members. I do admit I was a member of the Beer Drinkers of America, but I was like 20 or 21 when I was working for the county of Los Angeles. I got a flyer from the Beer Drinkers of America. Oh! Check it out. They still exist. They still exist. October of 1992. I started in November of 91. So my story is consistent. It is consistent. Oh my God. The Beer Drinkers of America was founded in 1992 by 3 friends who shared a passion for beer and wanted to create a community around it. The organization aims to bring together beer lovers to enjoy good times, share experience, and participate in various beer-related activities. I believe I was a founding member of that. Oh, my God, because my supervisor, Walter Riley, did not retire until 93. And I remember I asked him to become a fellow beer drinker, club member. And he said yes. Oh, my God. So there it is. I'm consistent. El Pendón Estrellado. After pop star Neza booked to sing the Star Spangled Banner, oh, we talked about this, on Saturday, performed the national anthem in Spanish to protest ICE raids. Although the team expressly asked Neza to sing in English, it said there were no hard feelings. We did talk about this on Sports Talk with the guys. So, it was a bad week for the Fourth Estate after Sovereignty beat Journalism to win the 157th Belmont Stakes. Oh, that's cool. Sovereignty. The decisive 3-length victory in your carbon copy of Sovereignty's win in last month's Kentucky Derby has sparked talk that journalism's best days may be beside him. When you think of journalism today, that might be an indictment. Or reality following entertainment or something. Well, whatever, who cares? It was a bad week for go-getters after Asmir Djokovic, 19, was arrested for driving a Mercedes E300 at 132 miles per hour on I-91 in Connecticut. Djokovic, who led police on a high-speed chase, ignoring their lights and sirens, told officers that he didn't stop because he was late for a job interview. What a moron. And it was a bad week for the 19th hole after health inspectors slapped President Trump's Bedminster, New Jersey Golf Club with 18 health club violations. None of them considered critical. That happens to all businesses. Just a little funny, though. I mean, think about it. His golf club got slapped. It's cool. Food in the club is not sufficiently well protected from contamination, the inspectors found, and food contact surfaces are not properly cleaned and sanitized. Don't they pay $100,000 a year in dues for that? That is definitely embarrassing. It was a bad week for operational security after the X-Account Pentagon Pizza Report informed its followers that as of 6:59 p.m. Eastern Time, nearly all pizza establishments near the Pentagon have experienced a huge surge in activity. I know of that. that all pizza places around the Pentagon know when something's going to happen because they get late night orders. So, jeez, that's funny. The post came an hour before the news report of Israel's attack on Iran. So I guess they knew. It was a bad week for Lewis Hamilton after the 7-time Formula One world champ struck and killed a groundhog during the Canadian Grand Prix. Oh, by the way, going back to the Pentagon, they have restaurants in there, don't they? Come on, man. Put one in there and disable their Twitter account, X account, whatever. Who cares? Come on, operational security. But I have joked about it in the past that people who are around the Pentagon know when something's going to happen because of the late night orders. Lewis Hamilton, after the 7-time Formula One world champ, struck and killed a groundhog during the Canadian Grand Prix. A vegan and animal lover sounded more upset about the devastating collision than his 6th place finish, saying, "I just hope it didn't suffer." It was a bad week for background checks after the New York Post reported that Sergio Gore, the White House aide tasked with vetting executive branch staff, has not been vetted for a security clearance. Gore, who says he's from Malta, has yet to submit a form listing his birthplace and past residences. It's the lady doth protest too much, methinks type situation, said the source. Wow. That's awesome. Now, this happened last week, but I still wanted to bring it to the fore. This happened in Nevada, Area 51. I don't know why I did that. It's annoying, isn't it? Isn't it annoying when people, like right now, it's annoying when people do that? I think that might become my Ray Day trade. Yes, I know a few phrases. To go after people. Oh, wait, hold on. To go after people that do that. Don't you find it annoying? I do. The Pentagon spent decades fueling conspiracy theories about UFOs, which I don't think they spent it. Everyone else did because they stayed quiet. The Wall Street Journal reported this last week. The agency's all-domain anomaly resolution office, created in 2022, dug into claims about secret government UFO programs and discovered a series of deceptions. What a shock. Some were intended to hide actual weapons programs. Others may have been part of an elaborate practical joke that was sustained for decades. I could see. I know what I did in my job to screw with people. That's funny. That is funny. The military encouraged rumors of UFOs around the Area 51 site in the Nevada desert in case locals saw tests of weapon systems such as the F-117 stealth fighter and a system designed to simulate the effects of massive electromagnetic pulses. Officers also misled subordinates in something akin to a hazing ritual in which new team members were told of a secret UFO investigation called Yankee Blue and warned they could be executed if they told anyone. The revelation stunned Avril Haines, President Biden's director of national intelligence in 2023, but were not released to the public. That's damn funny. I like that. This week, though, or last week that happened, historic rainfall pounded San Antonio last week, causing flash floods that killed 13 people and forced firefighters to make dozens of water rescues. This drought-stricken Texas City received more than 6 inches of rain in 24 hours. That's a lot. The most in a single day since 2013. At one point, about 4 inches fell in an hour. The downpour caused creeks to rise, trapping people in their cars before they were swept away. One victim, Rudy Garza, 61, called his wife from his vehicle before he died. And according to his daughter, and said it looked like an ocean was surging toward him as water filled the car. All missing persons have been found, and all 13 victims have been identified. City Manager Eric Walsh told San Antonio City Council last week the city will conduct an independent engineering and expert evaluation to determine what factors contributed to the flooding. Well, I think they're going to have to. Was this a 100-year flood event? Was this a 1,000-year flood event? Was it a 10,000-year flood event? I do know that in Los Angeles County, especially Department of Public Works, we have different levels of knowing how to plan. And I believe that Los Angeles, for the longest time, especially along Whittier Boulevard with its high uh, curbs, I believe that was for a 500, it was designed for a 500-year flood event. Because when all that was designed in the 20th century, you need to remember that the LA River was still flooding regularly in the 18 and early 1900s until LA River was completely concreted. I know that's bad English, but when they made it a concrete river. And now they're trying to turn parts of the river back into natural, which they have done, which is really cool. It's very impressive. But I'm sorry that these people did suffer there. Now, about 2 weeks ago, a comic was jailed for jokes in Sao Paulo. Brazilian comedian Leo Lins was sentenced to 8 years in prison this week. Well, 2 weeks ago, for telling jokes that a judge said were bigoted and discriminatory against minority and vulnerable groups. Now remember, this is Brazil, folks. It's not America. In a viral YouTube video of a 2022 performance, Lins said he made fun of Black and Indigenous people, obese people, elderly people, gay people, Jews, evangelicals, disabled people, and people infected with HIV. What show could be more inclusive? He asked during the set. I even hired a sign language interpreter just to be able to offend the deaf mute. The federal court ruled that Lins had the right to freedom of expression, but that it was not absolute and could not be used as an excuse to make hateful, prejudiced, and discriminatory remarks. So I guess he doesn't have the right. Now, something that happened also within the last week out of Australia, Melbourne, an Australian blogger was detained at LAX last week and then deported after U.S. border officials asked him about his writing on pro-Palestinian campus protests. Alistair Kitchen, who had studied at Columbia University before moving back to Australia last year, said he was pulled out of a passport line for questioning after arriving on a flight from Melbourne. He had scrubbed sensitive posts from his blog, including one describing a protester's arrest on utterly specious grounds by a neo-fascist state. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I think any country is pretty much going to say you can get out. Doesn't matter. Ladies and gentlemen, the First Amendment protects everyone and anyone in the United States, not those wanting to come in. It's not absolute. Oh, and if you want to know, it is not illegal to yell fire. Check out Legal Eagle on YouTube. He says it's not, and he's an attorney, so I'm all right with it. I'll follow what he says. So don't go and yell fire thinking you can get away with it because it's still not good. But understand that in certain parts of the United States, so don't follow my advice on anything. Nothing. It's no good. This is an entertainment program. That's all it is. And even then, some people would say, well, then when are you going to entertain us? But the interviewing officer had already read them. Kitchen, who's 33, said he was placed in a windowless, soulless box with other detainees for hours before being deported. The Department of Homeland Security told Australian media that Kitchen's claims were unequivocally false and had been denied entry to the U.S. because agents had found evidence on his phone of prior drug use. Interesting. Also in the news, this was a few weeks ago, Jared Leto was accused of sexual misconduct by 9 women, some of whom said they were underage when they first were approached by the Requiem for a Dream actor. One woman told Airmail she was 16 when in 2006, Leto grabbed her arm at a Los Angeles cafe and asked for her number. She said that in the following weeks, Leto, then in his early 30s, would call her in the early hours and ask about her sex life. The way he talked, she said, it scared me. Now, that should be relatively easy to prove. Doesn't matter if you lose phones. Doesn't matter if you knew it. There are records of that. So there are records. But anyway, another woman said the actor, now 53, began texting her when she was underage. Then, kept himself occupied in her presence after she turned 18. I don't know if that's. Well, okay. That's bad. Talk to an attorney. Find out if that's illegal. Los Angeles-based DJ and producer Ellen Tales last month reposted a Facebook status from 2012 when she was 16, in which she wrote that later tried to force himself on her backstage in a kilt. A representative for Lato expressly denied all the accusations. There are some things in there that can be proven and not proven, so hopefully something will come of it. Now, news did break several weeks ago that King Charles III's cancer is manageable, but it is incurable. So we've now begun the long march to YouTube going crazy over what will happen when Prince Charles passes. Years before Queen Elizabeth, they talked about London Bridge is down. That was the code phrase. I don't know what the code phrase for King Charles is, but I'm sure the videos will begin. And which is just a retelling of everything from Elizabeth. The British monarch, 76, announced 18 months ago that he was battling an undisclosed form of cancer. And while the palace has reassured the public that Charles is faring well during treatment, the talk is now that he may die with cancer, but not of cancer. Because of health concerns, Charles is unlikely to return to using Buckingham Palace, which is being renovated until late 2027 as his main residence. Doubts are also emerging that the king will ever be reconciled with his estranged son, Prince Harry. Palace aides have been investigating whether the pair could be brought together when Harry's Invictus Games, a sporting event for wounded veterans, is held in the UK in 2027. Dude, I, for one, was fortunate that I had a few moments to see my father before he passed away. I was informed that he was going to pass away, and he was no longer able to speak, but he knew I was there. And I can only, because I'm telling you, from my end, when we made eye contact, it was like we understood. And there was nothing to be said. I was privileged that I had the chance to see him. Harry, get off your ass and go home. Alex Soros, the son of billionaire liberal donor, and you see, that's yellow journalism right there. Liberal donor. Why don't they just say billionaire? But no, of course, that's yellow journalism right there. And former Hillary Clinton aide Huma Abedin tied the knot last week in a ceremony that New York Times likened to a politically royal wedding. Yeah, didn't Huma Abedin, wasn't she married to the guy that was sending pics of his member to someone? I forget. He was from New York. Wasn't the guy's name Wiener of all things? I think it was. And he had to resign because the Democrats actually, try to do stuff about that. But it's all political anyway, so it doesn't matter. Oh, Anthony Weiner. It is. It was held at the Soros estate in the Hamptons. The nuptials were attended by top Democrats such as Bill and Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, and Doug Emhoff, and Senator Chuck Schumer and Rep. Hakeem Jeffries. Abedin's first husband, disgraced former Rep. Anthony Weiner, did not attend. The couple was serenaded by 1990s R&B group Boyz II Men, while the guests dined on gourmet dishes such as truffle agnolotti, I don't know what that is, and an American Wagyu bavette steak. Soros, 39, and Abedin, 48, had initially planned to elope. Abedin told Vogue, but they were told at a Clinton party last summer that the idea was nonsense and they should have a traditional wedding. Harvey Weinstein's sex crimes retrial descended into chaos last week after the jury foreman claimed he was being threatened by another juror. Oh my God, the jurors are out of control. Of course, the judge was required to declare a mistrial. And just days earlier, the Manhattan jury had returned a partial verdict, finding the Hollywood producer guilty of criminal sexual assault against former production assistant Miriam Haley, while acquitting him on the same count against former model Kaja Sokola. I apologize for the mangled pronunciations. But the jury deadlocked on the third charge that Weinstein, 73, raped former actress Jessica Mann, and the foreman refused to continue deliberations, alleging a fellow panel member had told him, "You're going to see me outside." Weinstein found himself on trial again after the New York Court of Appeals last year overturned his landmark 2020 conviction on rape and criminal sexual assault. Wow. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Now, it must be true if I read in the tabloids. A British Airways flight attendant who disappeared during meal service on a San Francisco to London run was found by coworkers dancing naked in a business class bathroom. The crew member was suspected of taking drugs before or during the flight, which held about 470 passengers. He was staging a one-man disco show, and the plane was cruising at 37,000 feet. But this bloke seemed to be higher than anyone else. The errant attendant was put into a pair of pajamas and buckled into a seat for the rest of the flight, and subsequently arrested and suspended. Wow. Police in South Carolina chased a man driving a stolen tractor excavator down a highway at 3 miles per hour for more than an hour. Cops say they found Johnny Mesa Jr., 53, driving the metal-treaded construction vehicle down US 78 in North Charleston. Several patrol cars, sirens on and lights flashing, trailed the clanking vehicle at a pace equivalent to walking speed. The thief ignored orders to halt for 72 minutes, not 60, not 1 hour, but 72 minutes. But the slow speed chase finally ended when he drove into a fairground and he got stuck. What a moron. He tried to run but was arrested. I'm glad he didn't hurt anyone. It's a funny story. The moron. Now, sticking with the flight stuff, a man flew for free for 6 years by posing as a flight attendant. Tehran Alexander, who's 35, was recently convicted of booking 120 free flights on 7 airlines between 2018 and 2024, submitting fake badge numbers for free seats set aside for flight attendants and pilots. Dude, this is Leo again. I've seen that movie. It was a great movie. It's a fun movie. Alexander was convicted of wire fraud and entering secure airport errors under false pretenses. They have that rule, but they don't have a rule that if you pee in someone's water, you're okay with it. Transportation Secretary Administration said that despite sneaking on to flights, Alexander did not pose a threat to other airline passengers. Oh, yeah. As unemployment rises among young Chinese people, a growing number are paying fees to work in pretend offices for the equivalent of $4 to $7 a day. The companies offer desks, lunchrooms, and free Wi-Fi. The faux workers can pay extra to pretend to be a manager with an office. Whoa! I should do that. Most of us are just there because it's interesting, said Zhu Ling, a content creator. Daneng Mao, a builder, said he hopes showing up his fake firm may create a job opportunity. Well, yeah, all right, fair enough. Oof. Really crazy stuff. Now, there was a column out of India, the Indian Express, written by Partha Sinha, How to Live Among the Multitudes. India is built on the crowd. We don't just gather, we perform our existence in multitudes. We've all experienced a kind of communal joy that erupted last week after the long, hapless Royal Challengers Bengaluru finally won a cricket title. There's more on it. Check it out at the India Express. It's kind of cool. Now let's see. Oh, did I? Oh, yeah. I already passed that one. AI is being used to monitor test takers in China. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to say. I, who love to fly, read this article coming out of Spain. Be prepared to be tortured on the plane. Of course, it all started with olives back in 1987. American Airlines CEO Robert Crandall saved $30,000 by removing olives from the salads served on his planes. That kicked off an industry-wide push to squeeze every nickel possible out of the proletarized economy class. First, they took our peanuts, crackers, and newspapers. Next, they crammed us in with less space between seats and rows and in the seats. The headrest, and in some airlines, the bathroom, disappeared in a scramble for savings. Now, the European Transport Council has not only agreed to allow European airlines to charge for carry-on baggage, but also recommended lengthening the time a flight can be delayed before passengers must be compensated. No, 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 no. That's not fair. That is absolutely not fair. Right now, it's 3 hours in the European Union. It could be 6. How far can airlines go in this race to the bottom? 8 years ago, industry shows at a Hamburg aviation fair proposed packing more passengers into the cabin by putting them nearly vertical, propped up on a little bicycle seat, their legs dangling almost straight down. I saw the imagery of that. That is disgusting. No way. That's bad. But it's going to get worse. Definitely going to get worse. I flew back from Las Vegas in first class. Oh, my God. We were waiting a little bit of time in the taxi way, and it felt like I was in a comforter. I was in a reclining chair. Yeah, I got so comfortable all of a sudden. I was like, oh, sorry. The flight hadn't even taken off yet. Oh, man. I was really embarrassed. But I've never been on a plane on a seat like that. And it was nice. It was an Embraer 175, but I was in seat 1A. Oh, I had my own window, no one next to me, and it was great. Oh, I've been broken. I've had to fly first class now. That means I have to earn a lot more to fly first class. So I'm going to leave you with poll watches over the last 2 weeks because we're going to be in the program. Of course, as we do, we don't go a full hour here on Monday Night America, but I had so much information I wanted to go over. This was last week. 66% of Americans believe births should be required on IDs. Birth sex. Oh, okay. Mine says sex, and it's an M. Yeah, that's about right. I remember when I took an exam to get into the seminary of all places, when they got to the question of sex. It was Father Zeman at the time said, and that's not a yes or no question. I thought that was funny. That one has stuck with me. I've used that one all the time. Well, it has but it doesn't have anything on birth, so. 69% say transgender athletes should compete only on teams that match their birth gender. That's from Gallup. In another poll watched, 60% of adults think expanding wind and solar should take priority over fossil fuels. Ooh, that's from the Pew Research Center. It's a 19-point drop from 2020, though. So things fluctuate in the wind. 60% of Americans oppose the U.S. military becoming involved in the conflict between Iran and Israel. That's a bit too late. 16% support U.S. military involvement and 24% are not sure. That's from The Economist and YouGov. And in the final poll that I'm going to share with you guys, 35% of Americans say they approve of President Trump sending the National Guard and the Marines to subdue anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles, while 50% disapprove. 52%, including 1 in 5 Democrats and 9 in 10 Republicans, support deporting people who entered the country illegally. But 49% say Trump has gone too far with his arrests of immigrants. That's a jumbled poll, but it's still a good one because it gives us an idea of what people are thinking. So it's not too bad. So I'm going to end it with that one. I had some themes that I wanted to get to, tech news. I know I used to do that one on the Daily 15 with Carlos, I don't know if I'm going to come back with a daily 15. I may. So I do have several innovations of the week, but I am hard pressed for time and I'm not going to be able to attend. But I hope you enjoyed this program. I may be scheduling another one. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. Right now, I'm doing Monday Night America and I'm doing the Saturday Sports Talk with the guys. That's it for the time being. I'm adjusting to my new normal. I'm liking it. I'm starting to wake up at 6:45, 7 again. I like it, and it feels good. Uh, I was a little worried there for a little while about retiring, but even though I still have medical issues that need to be resolved, I am looking forward to having all of that taken care of over the next year, year and a half. But for now, I am eternally grateful, and thank you for spending time. Next time, drop some comments in the chat room, folks. Beer Drinkers America, BDOA. Beer Drinkers America. I was a member back in 92, 93 when it was founded in October. That's, man, if I could find my own membership card. I know they sent me a certificate of membership. Man, I wish I could find that stuff. I wonder if they keep information going back all that time. But it was fun. It was fun being part of it. And it was cool. I may join it again just to join it. But other than that, folks, I want to thank you for stopping in. Appreciate it. Thanks, Tony. And check out ndbmedia.net. It's right down there. A lot of stuff is going on the network. And I'll see you guys in the future. Peace. Up next Monday, no program. It's not on calendar, but I will be on Sports Talk with the guys. And on July 7th, Monday Night America will return. Sorry, folks. I have things to do. Kapla. Shoch Bangji.